thing he brings up in that is the inverted mouse settings. It's not something that is unique in this series because Tox also has a really crazy setup. I think he's using inverted mouse as well, and you know, people will hear in the online discussions occasionally that Tox has got a crazy set, but it's worth noting outright, and also his
Yeah.
other movement keys and so on.
It's something you get from a lot of the old guard where they've been playing Quake for such a long time before a lot of the norms for binds kind of came into existence. So you kind of played what was most comfortable, and that gets locked in for forever. But I think we're seeing a little bit of the old school, cooler mind games, because if Toxic had seen that interview, I think he would have been lulled into a hypnotic trance.
Those bans, actually. Look at that. Cool has decided to ban out Slash against Tox. I know that they actually played a lot together. They've also been getting involved in some 2 versus 2. And Cooler was saying to us this morning, actually, that Tox was playing a lot of Slash in the practice matches that they had. And Tox also finding that Visor is the one that he wants to get rid of, maybe fearing Cooler's capabilities with that champion.
Yeah, I think everyone has seen those videos of Tox just going crazy with Slash, and I don't think Cooler wants to deal with any of that and threw that right out there.
It's interesting because yesterday we saw a little bit of hesitation. You know, is Toxic going to pick Slash? Is he not? And he decided to avoid it
lounging
for the moment. Yeah, he's chilling. You
got to meditate, okay? It's a big game coming up.
Toxic is
Oh,
going.
for sure.
This is serious business, man.
And we've got the map picks. Is that a surprise for you? I think Tox of Blood Covenant, I'm not so surprised, but the Corrupted Keep from Cooler, I guess that was the map he took off Claws, but for some reason, the playstyle I see in him and translating it over to the maps he's picking, it's kind of just a weird connection.
I think it makes a lot of sense, personally, just because Cooler really likes, you know, going into the shadows a little bit, and the smaller the map, the more information you can keep in your head about where your opponent is, which makes it harder to, you know, be surprised, and it makes it a little bit easier to, you know, surprise your opponent if you need to.
I think it was a great pick because we saw him absolutely dominate against base yesterday, and you saw him kind of force out the spawn twice and get a free kill over in the red room, and I think he knows something about that, so he might be gaming the spawns again. We'll see.
No, and his aim has been looking unbelievable. Another thing that he's touched on is that his aim is just feeling brilliant. It's always something he brings up is that it's on LAN. He always feels like he's turbocharged when he's in an environment like this, and that he's just able to play so much better. And being as a veteran of the game himself, you know, he's able to feel good, confident in this environment, even if we're seeing that, you know, heart rate BPM jumping up.
Oh, and I'm sure it will. I mean, myself included. This is really one of the matches I've been looking forward to all weekend, pretty much, and I'm glad it came down at this point.
If I were to start discussing a prediction, this might be. I don't want you to, you know, heart, head. I don't know what you want to go with. Are you leaning towards anybody, 40?
I think I might have to go with Cooler, but I'm going to go with 2-1 to Cooler. I think it's going to be a close series.
Jahar?
I'm just thrilled that we're here.
Just happy
Honestly,
to be here, folks.
You know, just happy. But if I had a preference, oh God,
Do I like
what's
Keel?
Cooler going to do to me if this happens? But I would like Toxic to go forward. But yeah, we got Keel coming out of Toxic, and again, this last pick without a Slash, it's actually a bit of an easier decision for Toxic now.
So much burst on Toxic's side. Look at all that damage. And then we see the Ranger from Cooler. We saw some great shove slayers from him, so maybe those will come out again. We'll see.
Just has to hit the guy.
Just hit your shots.
Well, just as we move into the game, guys, my prediction, I think maybe Cooler is going to sneak in a win, but again, it's so hard to tell. This is going to be a mind-melting match, guys. I'll have to give it over to you guys to carry us through that game.
Wow, Zeke doesn't even want to make a bad prediction.
Yeah,
Not even a bad one.
Weird.
Wow.
Weird. You're tired of cursing people, huh? Well, thank you, Zoot. I appreciate it. Let's get into this, guys. Quarterfinal game, Toxic versus Cooler on Corrupted Keep. I'm excited.
And you're right to call out the amount of burst potential that Toxic has. And we're going to be seeing us burst into Corrupted Keep right now as we've got Toxic starting off with the Keel and immediately commanding the center of the map. Not taking every item, but doing a ton of damage here against Cooler. But Cooler's got so much stack to work with, and there's a telefrag through the teleporter. When was the last time we saw that?
You don't want to stand there. That's a terrible place.
You forget that it can happen sometimes, but yes, it can and will happen. But we got Cooler, one frag up, immediately Toxic back down to his own Death Knight, as we've got Toxic trying to now lay a little bit of command on the power-ups themselves. So we've got Mega taken away, 6 seconds to Heavy. Toxic not quite willing to go through the most obvious route on the map.
Yeah, Toxic taking that positional advantage over at Rockets here. Cooler getting that heavy armor, making his way over to the red room, trying to spot out where Tox could be. Eats a little bit of rocket splash, but returns it. And he's just waiting patiently.
And of course, Tox will know from watching yesterday that allowing Cooler to get that first frag, telefrag or no, is really dangerous because Cooler really knows how to pump the brakes and control the pacing, even with all this damage coming from Toxic. And again, he's done some good stuff here. This is going to be a big play on Heavy, and it looks like Cooler's actually committed to it. He really wants to be here. Toxic taking away the armor, but Toxic also taking the frag back.
That Flame Strike and LG, very well done by Toxic, taking down Cooler and tying this up. But Flame Strike is down, and Cooler does have VJ. Can he get in on an LG and maybe turn this around?
It leaves me wondering what Cooler thought he was going to get out of that fight. I mean, it was going to be a nasty one either way. But then risking your one frag lead can be everything on a map like Corrupt the Keep. We've got a bit of a play here on the Mega. Toxic going to be taking a lot of damage, but there's the BJ Scream before he's put to rest.
Yeah, Toxic holding strong. Cooler actually had the position trying to fire down rockets, but couldn't quite land the shots that he needed. And Toxic will take advantage of that. And Cooler's down onto the Ranger. Will we see a Shove Slayer? A lot of flame damage coming out there, and Cooler is hurt. Needs to lick his wounds over in the Red Room and grab these 25 armors and the 50 arm. Well, 25 health, 50 armor. I think that's how that breaks down. I can't do the math, though.
Numbers.
Numbers are hard, and he's going to orb out and try and get away from that position there. Toxic wants to try and end this round right now. A lot of LG coming out, but he's very hurt. Gets very fortunate to dodge that rocket, but we'll get in on the Mega.
Yeah, definite fight of attrition there, but Toxic licking with that last little bit of LG, taking the frag, taking the round. And not a whole lot of respect could be being given between them in this very first matchup, just because all those fights were just LG on LG, both of them down to 20 HP. Nasty stuff.
Yeah, bit of a slugfest on that first one. Let's see how the second one goes as Toxic again gets the heavy armor spawn, and the Mega goes straight to LG. Ooh, good MG from Cooler there.
Jeez,
the
yeah.
pineapples come out.
Just playing it, baiting it, and then shutting off the choke point with the Flame Strike. Looking to push back in with the Shoddy, which can be so dangerous here. And Toxic is going to be just defending himself with that pineapple. Cooler's going to have to back off towards the Red Room for his own recovery, but it's also a trap. Toxic might not be able to get out of this. His LG just isn't enough to take Cooler down.
Great shotgun work from Cooler there, catching him out. 27 HP, though, needs to play very safe here and could get caught out.
Ooh.
Plays very silent. I like it.
Yeah.
And we'll get away.
And that's something that Cooler is just so good at, especially when he's this low and on the run. Toxic able to take away quite a bit of health, but he needs to find the body from Cooler right here, right now. But it's going to be shut off at the choke point. Toxic really is going to have a difficulty getting in here, especially as he goes back up towards LG.
Good machine gun damage here. Cooler doesn't want to get stuck up here, though. A little bit early for Mega. 8 seconds left. Toxic firing rockets up from the bottom here. Might be able to get in on this Mega. Cooler thinking about getting some damage. Eats a little bit of machine gun and just concedes. Goes over to the Heavy.
And this could be a little bit dangerous. I mean, showing up to any item early so far has been a death sentence, but it's going to be traded off items as we've got the timing still relatively tight, and it could be a fight here in the Red Room. Cooler looking for the entrance from up top, spamming a little bit of Tri-Bolt, but actually giving Toxic a little bit of distance at the moment.
Finally gets in on those rockets, too. Almost a minute 30 into the game, Cooler finally has rocket power. And let's see if he can make something happen with it. Flame Strike is also up, trying to set the trap here.
And this is going to be a creep around the corner. Toxic is feeling it. Arrows raising on the back of his head. Flame Strike on Flame Strike. Not a lot of damage either way. Cooler able to take away the Mega. Now running back towards the Heavy. Toxic on the chase with his rockets. I'm not sure how much damage he can get out of it as Cooler doesn't even go through the TP. Coming right back through on the Red Room. A little bit more of a conservative route. One that takes a little bit longer, but he's going to be fully stacked for this fight. Toxic just gets melted.
Takes him out. Superior stack. Fat stacks from Cooler. Doing a good job getting in with that LG, but needs to be careful as the BJ pushes in. Cooler holding that high ground, waiting on this Mega. 5 seconds. And Tox will back away and say, all right, we'll get you later.
Yeah, so Cooler is able to demonstrably take away that Mega. And like the monster, he is taking away this Heavy as well. And Toxic just can't even show up. He's 30 seconds off of his timer. Oh, but he gets caught in the hallway. A dark alley. You don't want to meet Cooler there.
Yeah, Toxic are just getting caught out there, and Death Knight had a bone to pick with him.
I get it. I get it. All right, so round 3 coming up as they've tied things back off, and we see the beginnings of respect here as they've both crept down a little bit slower in some of these fights, but right out of the gate, it's going to be Cooler looking for just the machine gun damage, getting 9, count them, 9 damage off as we're looking for the play on the small armor, but here comes the dual LG. It's been baited out. Cooler can avoid this for a little bit of time. He's still got his Flame Strike. If Toxic wants to push forward, he'll have the stack advantage, but Cooler can certainly get that first hit off.
Doing a great job of baiting that out and just holding position, not jumping into dual LGs and getting impatient. And so now he has an opportunity to try and set this trap. Toxic can't defend himself with dual LGs, but it looks like they will just trade items for the time being.
Cooler going quiet, taking away Mega. And Papa back into mid as Toxic is going through Red Room. Cooler looking like he's a little bit on the hunt here. He's like, all right, so I'm feeling pretty good. We're both going to be pretty well stacked, but I've got a Flame Strike, and it's just burning a hole in my pocket as we've got Cooler taking a lot of damage there, losing most of his armor. Taking away the small one's going to work out. Toxic knows he's going to be there, but he can't really do much about it from this range.
Cooler's going to push in off this and has Flame Strike. There it is, and wow, absolutely dominates that BJ there. Tox spawns in quickly on his Death Knight.
Converged perfectly on his body, and fortunately for Toxic, he didn't get caught off the spawn. Some of that spam from Cooler was dangerous. That being said, Toxic is still very, very low here. I don't think he can afford to show up for this heavy armor. Cooler is going to be very well stacked.
Yeah, again, the stack on Cooler is just insane. Toxic trying to find anything he can to try and stack back up now. Holding out that heavy machine gun outside the platform. Might get caught out. And here comes Cooler with the LG and catches him out by the Tri-Bolt.
Yeah, caught is definitely the word, as Toxic just had nowhere to go, nowhere to run. But coming back in here as Keel, he's trying to make a statement on the Mega, but the Pineapples are just going to be squashed on the ground. Cooler still stabbing in from below, taking away the Mega. Doesn't even really care about the attrition damage that he's taking, and is just going to waltz right back in towards Heavy.
And just kind of navigating those Pineapples, saying fruit's not a big deal. And again, with a huge stack going to push in on Toxic. Toxic needs to be very careful here. Here comes the chase. The LG's good, the rocket not enough, and Toxic will survive for the time being. But how long will that last as Cooler grabs that 50?
Yeah, the thing so far is that Cooler has had no trouble breaking away from a fight, going to control items, and even when Toxic shows up to do a little bit of spam damage, it ends up being a much more protracted fight than I'm sure he bargained for. But he's setting up for this Heavy. It's going to be a trap, but who has trapped whom? As we've got Cooler almost getting knocked off the map, as we've got the rockets coming back in from Toxic, and Toxic falls in the lava? Question mark?
No. Maybe the situation was too hot to handle? I'm not sorry about that one.
No,
I honestly don't know what happened. Maybe he was trying to fall back and hit a rocket and the splash damage got him because he was very low. But
I don't know if we have a replay of that one, but as we get into our fourth round, Toxic has got to make something a little bit different happen here. He's not winning the fights for the initial items, and Cooler's pressure has just been dominating.
Yeah, he's absolutely dominating the pickups on heavy armor, 11-3 right now, and he's delaying this one, so that'll be another one under his belt as well.
This early, that can be a little bit scary just because if you lose out the next fight over Mega in this case, then congratulations, you've lost out on Heavy as well. But Cooler's looking really confident, and he's creeping back in here towards the Mega. Toxic not quite sure if he's even left the Tri-Bolt side of the map. Cooler's already here at Mega, and he's going to be able to sneak it away with Toxic none the wiser.
Yeah, one round away here. Cooler's got to be feeling pretty good. He's going to push in with his LG dual wield pop from Tox. Cooler doesn't have to push down. The rocket jump comes up, and he actually misses out on the heavy because of it. Cooler winning out on that fight. Has Flame Strike up as well, just waiting for the perfect opportunity to melt that BJ.
And right now I'm wondering if Toxic even realized when that Mega was taken, which will make it that much more difficult to show up for the next one. And indeed, he's here 15 seconds early for Heavy, just checking it, but really has no clue whether or not it's going to be up. So here comes another Mega for Cooler. Toxic still sticking around the heavy armor, just trying to catch sight of it before Cooler inevitably takes it away from him. And taking a look here actually at the item pickups, we've got 14 heavies to Toxic's 3, and 10 megas on Cooler's end to Toxic's 8.
Yeah, Cooler doing a great job of controlling that heavy armor, just like playing like a python and just squeezing the life out of Tox here as Tox tries to fight back with rockets, raining them down from above. Cooler doesn't take too much damage in perfect timing on this Mega and just restacks all the damage that Tox does get. Gets deleted, and so does Tox as he drops down onto the hot heat. And unbelievable.
Is that how pythons kill? By constricting?
Is that how that works?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is that a Snapple fact?
I don't know. I always thought it was just a programming language. I don't know.
Okay, yeah, me too.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, Snapple
Deadly
fact,
either
right.
way. We've got Toxic here looking again for heavy armor, getting some pretty good damage off with his rocket, but Cooler kind of sitting back here, looking like he's waiting for quad. But with 3 seconds to Mega, he's going to be able to cross over. And again, Toxic really doesn't have any pressure here. He doesn't know exactly when the rotations are going to be coming up, so it's difficult to catch Cooler unawares.
Cooler again, perfect timing, uses that Flame Strike to zone out Toxic. Toxic trying to spam some pineapples up at the exit, but Cooler will not be there yet. And again, Toxic kind of at a loss, doesn't really know what to do to gain traction, try and get back in this map.
He's floundering a little bit on Corrupted Keep. Cooler doing some good damage. Oh, nearly getting knocked out, but his back is up against the wall with his LG. They're both so weak, and Toxic can finally take the frag, but he's very, very weak. He's going to need this Mega to recover. He needs to cross back over towards Heavy, and Cooler as a BJ is immediately going to be a threat. He's leaving it though. Toxic finally getting a heavy, and he's got to be breathing a small sigh of relief here.
This is exactly what Tox needs. He needs to capitalize while he can here. A little bit of LG tickle. Cooler very weak now. Spamming Pineapples, trying to close off the exit here, and he will catch him out. The dual wheel comes out, but not enough to melt that stack, and Tox doing a great job of getting back in this game.
But the damage that Toxic took there, yeah, he's wise to take away these 225s. It's going to cut him off from that Mega, unfortunately, or at least make it a fight. If he had actually pushed in the room, he might have been able to make something happen about it. But now we've got Cooler with the Mega, rushing in here towards the Heavy, and Toxic's got to decide how much he really wants to control this. I mean, so much of this has been a problem of control, and now Toxic is going to be eating it as his keel goes down.
That was unfortunate because Tox looked up to the exit again, and that split second gave Cooler the opportunity to get in and get the damage on him.
That being said, Cooler also took a lot of damage in that last fight. He's stacking up here pretty consistently and quickly. 4 seconds to the Mega as Toxic's in position for it. He's got LG, he's got a few rockets, but he's actually breaking out towards the Heavy, and Cooler just goes, hey, Mega, for free? For me? All right, fine.
Presence? I like presence.
Yeah, and even with the Heavy taking all this damage that Toxic is taking, he's going to need some 25s.
Rocket Splash will not hit as Cooler, holding that upper position again. Just dominating the items. Nothing up for about 14 seconds, but Cooler's okay with that, as we're down to a 1v1, 1 minute left in the round.
Yeah, and Toxic is 1 frag away from losing Corrupted Keep, which was, again, a crazy pick for Cooler, as we thought, but he's been playing just as insanely as he takes away another Mega. 5 seconds to the Heavy. He's going to be crossing through mid. Toxic trying to catch with the LG. The Flame Strike is out, not really doing too much damage and not really tracking Cooler over towards the Heavy as well. So Toxic's got to go a little bit more passive there, as there's actually quite a bit of time to play without any items.
Yeah, Cooler doing a great job of just sidestepping that flame. Doesn't take any damage from it, and his stack, again, huge now as Toxic running around trying to get whatever he can. He needs to try and get Flame Strike back as soon as possible, but needs to be very careful not to get caught out. A little bit of Tribal Spam will give away his position. Cooler opts to get the items instead for the time being. And
that's always been the safe play for Cooler. He hasn't really been consistently trapped at these items for quite some time. I mean, even the few items that Toxic has been able to take, it's been a nasty fight. Cooler walking right through the fire and the flames, taking a bit of that dot damage, but still looking for an opportunity to get some machine gun in on Toxic.
Might have a fight here over at LG as Toxic might get caught out, gets stuck in a really bad position here. Cooler trying to rain down rockets, trying to wait for the shot. The LG coming out from Tox. The orb comes out, he'll steal the Mega. Tox goes through the teleporter, and he is very weak. Cooler, letting him survive for now, says, I want this Heavy instead, but I will find you.
So right now, Tox is in a bad position. He can't go to the Heavy, obviously, but even going to the Red Room or the Boneyard for health is dangerous on Corrupted Keep. Cooler opting for the Red Room first, and Tox is able to at least kite him back over to the Boneyard and get back up to 100 health, but he's not really going to have much control-wise. 4 seconds to the Mega. He's throwing a lot of Tribal and Rockets this way, but it's going to be splashing kind of harmlessly against the side of the wall.
And again, just lacking so much stack, going to get caught out at Heavy, and this could be it for Cooler here. Great Flame Strike to keep him away, but Cooler's going to go from the other side and orb in and steal a Heavy.
That's really rough if you're Toxic. He was like, all right, I'm in position. I've defended with the Flame Strike. He can't get in on me. Oh, right. The Dire Orb. That's a problem. Cooler popping back through TP. No, he's actually going to be sticking it out for the Mega. He's really not afraid of Toxic right now. Just standing his ground on the Mega, knowing he's going to get it and knowing he's not going to be taking too much damage. Some nice Tri-Bolt there, though.
Yeah, but Cooler will still end up with the Mega. Some exit Tri-Bolt, which also helps Tox, but Tox doing a great job of extending his life in this round here.
The Dire Orb again, but Toxic's able to turn it back around with the exit on the teleporter and actually makes that round work out for him. He wasn't grabbing anything.
That was fantastic. There was a point where he was down to 25 HP, and he turns it around and sends us to a round 5. Well done by Tox. Look at that, getting
I really hope that he can more consistently make these fights happen, because if he's able to go toe-to-toe with Cooler, he's been able to do a lot of really good damage, but Cooler's ability to make the traps happen, have stat control, and have that first and likely last word in these fights has been such a big problem for him.
Machine gun spam not quite hitting there. Cooler will peek a little bit, need a little bit of it, but will return fire as well. Grabs a 50. Just waiting on this Mega as the items are synced up.
So Cooler's actually being forced to stay on this side of the map a little bit more. He's not quite as eager to cross over, so this is going to be an item trade at the very least, and if that's what Tox can put together, that immediately puts him in a better situation than he's been in the majority of this map.
Yeah, the item pickups just glaring. 23 heavies for Cooler as opposed to Toxic's 6 and 20 megas to Toxic's 10.
Wow.
Toxic needs to get back in on these items.
It's not often you see ratios like that, but we've got a lot of angry Tri-Bolt coming out. Dual wheel Tri-Bolt, in fact, as Toxic is going to be looking to defend this Mega. He's going to be dropping down. Not quite out, though. He's got a little bit of LG to defend with. He can hear the Dire Orb, or I'm sorry, the Death Knight up top as he takes away that Mega.
Yeah, so they'll trade the items here, but Cooler might get the drop on him and pushes with the LG. Really injured, though. Toxic with great LG on the return and 1 HP. Cooler will get that frag, and that was incredible, hanging on by the skin of his bones.
Do bones have skin?
I don't know how that works. I'm not a doctor, but Cooler needs to be careful. Only 72 HP here as he's playing very patiently over in this elbow area, trying to figure out where Tox is so he can double back, grab more armor and health.
And for the first time in a while, we're seeing Cooler going a little bit more passive. Oh no, Toxic actually might have been able to make it in with his own Flame Strike and make that Mega happen for him, but Cooler just snags it away. Fortunately for him, it's still a trade coming up towards Rocket Launcher. Cooler's going to have some rockets ready of his own.
No, the LG push. Cooler's staking with the rockets, and Toxic will take advantage of that as the rockets don't land and will melt him with the LG tickle.
And Toxic's LG overall has been about 29% here so far, but if you can make more fights like that happen, that'll be great. But running right into a BJ off the spawn is no fun. Cooler defending with the nail gun and getting out of there. That still will allow Toxic to snag away the Mega. He won't be there in time for the Heavy.
Yeah, so again, trading items, but I think Tox is more than okay with this. He's going to have Flame Strike back up. Cooler not going to have dual wield for a little bit longer, 15 seconds just about, as Toxic trying to sniff him out, see where he's at.
It's interesting that Cooler is choosing this time to go a little bit more quiet. He's not one frag up. He's waiting for his dual wield to come back up. But right now, Toxic should have priority on these items, but he's going super passive at this Mega. Yeah, he's not even looking at it. Wait, sorry. Maybe he's listening to the stream. Who knows? Oh, yeah, Mega, right. Neat.
It's important to note, Cooler doesn't have rockets yet.
Wow, that's actually amazing. He's got LG, and when you're a Blazkowicz, sometimes that's all you need.
Finally getting it on rockets there is Cooler, so.
It's still going to be an item trade, as Toxic is kind of pinning down these corners, but potentially running, into Nail Gun, into Tri-Bolt. I'm not really sure what he's defending right now.
His honor.
Oh, okay, yeah, it's important. We still have that as a concept, but yeah, good damage dealt out. Cooler looking for a way back in towards the Mega, and he might just get it. Toxic rotating back out towards the Heavy, but this could still be a bit of a trap as Cooler could be barreling down on him.
And it looks like he's actually going to get out of this for free, so good news for Tox as he grabs that Heavy. A little bit of Tri-Bolt spam. Nothing really connecting. That rocket was pretty good as it nails Tox. Tox trying to double back and grab that 50, taking a lot of damage. Flame Strike is gone now. Not very lucrative, and Toxic on the back foot now needs to be careful.
The damage that Cooler did there, I mean, Tox went from having a decent stack to just being shut down in that corner. Just couldn't break out of there. And here he should be able to take away this next Heavy, but his timing is a little bit off. It's not a clean pickup, and it's going to turn into a down and out fight as Cooler is looking to turn this into a frag.
Toxic very fortunate there. Cooler just didn't want to commit to the fight. I think had he known how much damage he did previously, he may have just been able to seal the deal there. But we're going into a minute left in the round, and we might see another sudden death at this pace.
Yeah, Toxic able to recover a little bit here, but the constant spam damage out of Cooler is just so consistent. Good Tri-Bolt, good Dire Orb, but it's still going to be Cooler taking away that Mega, leaving Toxic a little bit empty-handed. 40 and 40. He certainly doesn't want to be at the stack.
Grabbing those 225s in the Boneyard, lucky to not get out. He saw Cooler going away, and he was like, all right, it's safe to grab this, but it might not be safe in the Red Room here, as AMD Cooler might be able to finish off this first map. And wow, with the dual wield.
20 seconds. Let's see if Tox can do something with his keel. He's respawning shotgun.
Seconds.
That's going to be nasty stuff if he can get up close and personal, especially with the pineapples. He's looking for the angle. He's looking for the choke point, pushing on through, but no, he's going to be shut down by that last rocket from Cooler. 2 to 3 for Corrupt to keep.
Wow, I really think with that last frag, 15 seconds, I mean, Tox obviously didn't have any choice, and when you're just barreling down, it's very easy to kind of hold your ground with that beach. So great job to Cooler taking this first map, but it was close. It was very, very close. But look at those item pickups, though.
Yeah, look at those eyes.
those eyes. I'm lost in those eyes. But seriously, 27 heavy armors to 9 for Tox, and then 24 megas to 13. That's pretty insane.
If you just look at the numbers, it's kind of crazy that it went to 5 rounds to begin with, just because Cooler was in full control there the whole time. Like A to B, every item was either fully uncontested by Toxic. Toxic didn't have the timing, so he couldn't show up at a decent time. Or if Toxic was picking it up, Cooler was breathing down his neck with nails and rails. Well, maybe not rails. It's Corrupt to keep.
Yeah.
Rhyming is more important than factual accuracy.
Dinosaur tails. Yeah, that's fine. I'll allow it.
Thank you.
No problem.
You're so gracious.
That's why I'm here. But we're going to go into map number 2. This is going to be Tox's pick of Blood Covenant. might feel a little more comfortable here. Hopefully, we'll get in on the items more.
Now, he doesn't have his Slash, but Slash has given him a lot of experience on Blood Covenant, just how to route things out, how much time it takes to get from point A to point B, what the risk-reward ratio is for, taking away a heavy and rocket jumping up to bridge, maybe trying to rush back over towards pillars. So he's got all of that in his head. If you can combine that with some aim,
just a little bit of aim.
That would be
just
fantastic. And it feels sacrilegious to be saying that about Toxic, but in Blood Covenant, it just wasn't quite there.
Yeah, I think we're going to see probably a Doom guy from him. We saw how strong he was playing on Blood Covenant with Doom guy. So as we get into the picks, there's a Ranger for Tox.
And if memory serves, Toxic was also going very hard on the mobility champions last time. So we had a Ranger, Doom guy, and a Nyx.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see what the third champ is. I'm assuming Doom guy's a lock for Toxic, but maybe he'll surprise me as the BJ comes out for Cooler.
It did him so well yesterday.
Yeah, the mobility on the high ground so crucial on Blood Covenant.
That's Galena. Okay. We might see another Galena here, but
there's the Doom Slayer. So Galena's, I guess we're seeing more and more. I'm used to just seeing more mobile champs on Blood Covenant, but Galena's very strong. Those totems can be so deadly. And we'll see how it works.
As we saw against Razy. My heart's still broken just hearing that, realizing what had happened.
Yeah, I think he's crying somewhere because of that comment. He heard you and his heart broke. But look at that romantic dinner table again as we get into Blood Covenant map number 2. Let's see if Tox can even it out and send us in to a third map. Cooler, of course, says, I don't want that to happen. I'm going to take this 2-0. I want that doubled up money.
I will admit the performance on Corrupted Keep was concerning for Toxic, but here Blood Covenant is a little bit more comfortable for him maybe. Let's see what happens. Yeah, those are fingers, man. So just looking at the Doom guy little intro video.
Yeah, Doom guy, that's what it was. Tox gets in on that rail immediately, and that could be so deadly for Cooler here. It's Toxic holding the high ground, trying to figure out where Cooler's going so he can get some shots off. We'll opt to get the heavy, and then we'll trade the items. But can we see some amazing rail play from Tox?
I mean, it's a good start for him, taking away that railgun immediately, and then actually crossing through teleporter, just checking it, finding out there's a Cooler there. Doesn't want to wake Daddy as he's heading back out towards the hourglasses, but that's going to deny that rocket launcher from him for a little bit longer.
It's going to be quite the operation here as he's going to get caught out by the LG. Dual wield comes out, and the tickle down to 7 HP. Tox needs to be very careful, just floating on, gets drowned. He missed his jump, but he hits a rail. And he's going to get away like this? He can't keep getting away with this. But 32 HP, fists are out, and he gets the heavy. And it looks like he will actually survive that terrible situation over in the pillars.
Absolutely. So Toxic able to recover a little bit on the armor at the very least. Health is still a bit of an issue as he's looking to spam down on bridge, but Cooler is just lying in wait, looking to commit to that LG. But one rocket from Toxic says no, but Toxic is still incredibly weak here. The fact that he's even pushing out here with the rail is dangerous, to say the least.
Very, very risky and could get caught out here. That rocket zooming by Cooler. Toxic making his way back to heavy, trying to slow things down. Here's the tri-bolt, very good from Cooler, but the rail so strong from Tox. Misses the second one, but that's going to be okay. He's going to grab a 25 and get in on the heavy again. Items synced up perfectly now, and Tox still needs a little bit of health, but overall okay. Dual wield is up for Cooler, trying to find the perfect trap.
So far here, it's been a little bit of a mousetrap for Toxic. Every time he wants to push in towards the Mega, you can see that he's breaking out through that choke point, but immediately having to check every single corner for side of Cooler. And that tri-bolt from below is just wrecking him up here. Toxic going, hey, I'm up here. I should be winning this fight. But he's just a little bit too early for that Mega. He's going to need to back off towards heavy for the third time. So again, Cooler now for the first time actually breaking over towards the heavy, knowing that he's done some damage, trying to commit with the dual LG. Toxic able to run this thing back with the Berserk Pack, but can he survive getting out of the corner?
Yeah, doing a very good job. Actually strafes into that one, but he will survive again, and Tox doing a good job of playing defensively. The rocket jump comes back up as Cooler wants to end this right now. 10 HP, the rail fadeaway is good, but Cooler will take out the machine gun and convert that into the frag. Well done to Cooler here as he looks to take control. He's actually going to lose out on the Mega, but that's going to be okay. He's going to grit the heavy. Needs to be careful though. Tox does have a Ranger as he dire orbs over for the heavy, eats 100 damage rocket, and somehow hits that rail. Cooler with the return rail, and Tox just like that, very, very weak.
Yeah, so Cooler not sorry about that pickup at all as he's crossing back over towards Mega, but delaying just a little bit here in LG, laying these traps. And again, allowing Cooler to get a first frag is the most dangerous thing. And there's the trap. there's the execution as Toxic is now locked down to his Galena.
And Cooler laying quite the mousetrap there, catching him out by that armor, and quite the Yahtzee with the dual-wield LG just pegs him down and gets the frag, and Toxic down to his Galena with 2 minutes left, has a lot of work to do.
It's going to be a fight here on the bridge, as classic as it gets, but the LG from Cooler as consistent as it gets, taking away that first round.
So strong there.
I'm thinking this is actually playing out a little bit like Corrupted Keep was, just a hair, in terms of just pacing, how comfortable Cooler was on his side, and the inability for Toxic to really shake him up.
Yeah. I mean, the rails are looking okay from Toxic. He's hitting 4 out of 10, which isn't bad, but I'd like to see him step that up. But it's all about taking the right angles and taking rails where you don't take a ton of damage back. And we saw Cooler doing a good job of actually dealing damage whenever he took a rail himself.
Well, let's see if Cooler can get a monopoly on the items here once again, as he's going to be just getting a normal stack, starting off as the BJ actually, and as a #1 pick, it's a little bit less orthodox, but we've got some good damage coming out of the tribal. Cooler looking to push back in with dual LG, allowing Toxic to escape, quote unquote, out the other way, but here on the bridge, it's going to be anything but easy.
Cooler trying to find him out as he drops down to the heavy. Tox missing another rail, 2 rails now, looking a bit shaky, has to back off. Cooler getting those time shards and hits a great rail as Tox tries to escape. And Tox extremely low. Rocket jumps up, and Cooler is absolutely dominating with these rails right now.
Uno frag goes to Cooler as he takes away the Mega once again. Might need to leave the other side of the map to Toxic for just a moment, but Toxic at the same time, he's crossing back over. He's getting aggressive. Cooler doesn't know it because why the hell would he?
Wow, the tribal, not enough to be crazy damage, but enough to keep him at bay as Cooler goes up to the rockets. Saying go fish as he grabs heavy. Might have enough time to get back on this Mega here. He's going to opt for rocket jumping up to the rail and make his way over slowly, and we're going to have a fight over the pillars here as Toxic uses the Dire Orb early, and Cooler dropping down should be able to secure this, and does with the follow-up LG.
I mean, Toxic walked into pillars. I don't think he had a clue there what Cooler had lying in wait. And again, the trap with the dual LTs.
Wow.
He's just locked him out with just the BJ.
That was, I don't know, getting caught out off the spawn. How does Cooler keep doing that? It's like Cooler magic?
I'm not the one to ask.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. But a 2-0 for Cooler, looking to finish this off here. And this could be the round.
It could be, and that's honestly a little bit terrifying. Toxic, Cooler, and again, Cooler himself was looking a little bit shaken yesterday by his play with Claws, even after he blew base out of the water. But now we've got Cooler looking very strong here this morning. Let's see if he can keep it up for the rest of the day, as we've got Cooler doing some good damage, again, starting off with the BJ.
Yeah, you got to wonder if Cooler's still using that Claws game as motivation. We saw after he dropped the series to Claws, he took it out on base completely, and maybe still using that as motivation here as he might tear through Toxic in 2 maps.
He's just, yeah, getting revenge on everybody but Claws. That's not very nice, Cooler.
Yeah, he's kind of a bully.
All right, but we got Heavy coming back up. Cooler 100-100, delaying the pickup for just a little bit, and that's where the bullying could get cranked up to 11, as we've got now the ability for Cooler to cross back over towards Mega, put an immense amount of pressure on it. Toxic realizing it doesn't want to even let him cross mid.
Yeah, Toxic playing very quiet, as is Cooler right now, making his way into the LG corridor here. Mega will be up shortly. Heavy about 10 seconds after that, so a decent split on the items, and they might fight over here on the Meggy. Meggy? That's what I like to call it.
That's what the new kids are calling it.
Yeah, it's a lit, fam, as Cooler makes the jump over. Goes right back to rail, and we'll get both items.
And his movement over here at the bridge side is just so carefree. Like, he knows that Toxic isn't going to be trapping him on the angles, not punishing him with anything surprising. And unfortunately, that means that Cooler can now break back into mid and just pick his own targets.
And we've seen how dangerous it is when Cooler has full control of the map, and it looks like he's going to get in on the Mega again for free, and he's just going to start cycling these items again. He has the perfect split, and Tox needs to do something. Damage, set a trap, and that rocket was initially good, but Cooler with return rocket of his own again, not giving away any free damage to Toxic.
And another free heavy for Cooler, as he's going to be coming back up towards bridge, looking for some exit rails on the TP. Getting that first one, it's traded, but there's still a long way for Toxic to go. That rail will certainly help, but at the same time, we need Toxic to be able to get in close, get in personal, and secure these frags.
And a decent damage there, knocking Cooler away, and it looks like Tox actually gets a Mega, which is a great start here, but Cooler just lying in wait. And Tox needs to be careful here. Cooler is on the back foot with a lower stack, waiting to grab that 50. Doesn't want to give away his position. Does have his eye on the armor, so he's going to get the timing on this and maybe a cheeky rail.
I do appreciate that Cooler, knowing that he's just possibly even one frag away from taking the entire series, is not looking all that rushed about making it happen. We've got 5 seconds to Mega. Cooler at the TP exit. Might be able to even trap Toxic here. This could be the fight. Toxic whips it back around, doing some decent damage and scaring Cooler off of the Mega, but at the same time, this being Blood Covenant, he has all the time in the world to move back over towards Heavy.
Yeah, Cooler absolutely no need to rush in because he is potentially 1 frag away. 2 minutes left in the round.
Toxic there actually could have stayed at the bridge side and committed to Heavy. He had taken away the Mega. I mean, look at this. Toxic has a great stack, but in classic Quake fashion, having the stack doesn't really mean much if you don't know how to force a fight against your opponent.
Good opening rail, though, here. As Cooler, with a return of his own, will eat another one, and this could be it, and Toxic will take that frag with another rail. Well done by Toxie. Will get the Mega. Has enough time to get over to this Heavy, and here could be a fight over at the Rocket as Cooler, with a little bit of HMG damage, backs away.
That is some vindication for the Terminator here. Let's see if he can actually power up to full and take the entire round back at the very least. We've got Heavy back up, but Toxic looking much more focused on making some damage happen first, maybe even at the item. Cooler is not going to be one to be fooled.
Yeah, and this could be his judgment day here as a Cooler trying to tie this up, get this frag back. 1 minute left in the round.
Toxic looking very well stacked, and yeah, with that final minute, if Cooler doesn't change what he's been doing and actually go on the aggression a little bit more, then this could be the genesis of Toxic's comeback.
Playing so slow. Love it. I love it.
And this is exactly what Cooler actually generally does to other people. Gets that first frag in and then goes completely radio silent. Doing just enough damage once you catch your opponent to make a statement. And actually hearing that pain sound from Cooler, Toxic is tempted to go on the chase, but going for the safer play on the Heavy armor. But this Mega could be a little bit nastier.
Toxic with a great job there to bully Cooler off. Grabs both items now, 30 seconds, and Cooler has to get something going here. He has that natural organic stack, but that may not be enough. The opening rail would have been great, but now he's stuck in this terrible position here as Toxic is just going to rain some Tribal. 15 seconds left. Cooler has to battle it out with LG. Out comes the Dire Orb, but will it be enough return? Dire Orb from Toxic. Great rail, but
fantastic frag, securing his victory in this round. I mean, again, he is living on a prayer at the moment. Let's see if he can get another one in.
That was absolutely incredible, but of course, Cooler halfway there with 1 map already under his belt.
A little bit more than that. Again, we're only starting to see Toxic wake up, I think.
2-1. I can't believe this. But Toxic did a great job. Needs to try and string together more of this brilliance here as he's going to grab that 50 shard and go up to Mega. There will be a slight discrepancy in the items here as Toxic quickly makes his way over to the rail.
Well, it's going to be a picked up rail without too much to pay for as way of a toll. So we've got Toxic not quite on the rocket launcher just yet, just defending this with the Tri-Bolt, and good damage here. There's not a whole lot to play for until this Heavy comes back up, and he's just trying to deny or at least prevent Cooler from getting that railgun so easily.
Yeah, doing a great job with that Tri-Bolt peppering damage in. Cooler still doesn't have a rail, but Toxic doing a good job getting that Heavy that will split the items, and Toxic is on the hunt.
He's actually going to be creeping in from the other side, looking for that initial rail, but not quite getting the hit. And unfortunately for him, there's no Mega to pick up, so he kind of has to go on the chase here and make sure that Cooler doesn't have an easy way to cross this side of the map. He's RJing back in, putting some insane pressure on. Still 10 seconds before the Heavy, a little bit too early to commit there. This isn't Clan Arena, Toxic. You've got to do some damage.
Trying to hit those rockets, just rocket jumping back and forth. And this might be a fight over the Heavy if anyone's willing to commit. The orb comes out, and Toxic will steal it away. Cooler is going to punish that with some LG here. Toxic with some return LG. The rail knocks him down. Can he follow up with it? And just one machine gun bullet into rail. And he's like, I got you. Tap there. Perfect. Switches and gets that first frag. Well done to Tox here as he will actually get in on the Mega as well.
I wasn't watching the player cam during that last round. Did somebody sneak in and change his batteries?
Are they AAA or AA?
Well, he's bringing in some double Ds here as we've got Toxic on the bridge, looking for a play out of the teleporter, getting that first hit in, and his rails is going to start getting very dangerous here indeed.
And Cooler just giving him another one. I don't know why he went back through the portal, but Toxic was like, I'll take it. This is fine. And there we go. We're seeing the rail fire up here for Toxic.
And the most classic of spawn damage there. He didn't even see him. He didn't even hear him.
Oh my goodness, that was fantastic from Tox, and we might be going to a third map here as Toxic looks fantastic.
I can't believe it. He was looking, I'll go ahead and say it, he was looking weak on Corrupt the Keep. He was looking terrified in the opening rounds of Blood Covenant, but this round could put him back on the map.
Yeah, Toxic definitely looking a lot cooler on this map here as he tries to take it. Cooler going up the jump pad, misses with the rail, but Tox will escape. Grab the heavy machine gun and might be able to pepper in more damage here. Lots of nail damage coming out from Cooler, but the LG is absolutely fantastic. Misses the rail.
Risky.
Wow, hits another one though as Cooler not afraid to go through that teleportal.
I would be a little bit, personally. That's just me, because they're both going to be fairly weak here, and damage on the bridge could go either way. But we've got a heavy armor pickup from Toxic. It's going to be 6 seconds to the Mega. Cooler's going to have priority on it, but Toxic might be there to make a statement.
Is he going to go up the jump pad? Is he going to be crazy?
I mean, I hope not.
The LG tickle from below into the railgun is fantastic here, and Cooler not looking so good. That Dire Orb almost hits. This is going to be enough to close the gap, and the rockets are fantastic from Toxic.
Have I seen that Dire Orb before? Have you?
Have I? I don't know.
That angle,
Where are
that
we?
distance, and that collapse on Cooler just as he thought he had made his escape, and now he's going to be trying to fight into this heavy armor. It's going to be shaft on shaft, which will be a war of attrition. Cooler can take the frag, but that'll leave him weak and reeling. He needs his Mega. Yeah, the machine gun here could be a big problem. It's actually going to be heavy machine gun.
Yeah, getting very lucky and barely grabbing that. And that'll make him live another day here. As he's gonna go and they're gonna meet over by the rail, and Cooler getting away very quickly here, trying to keep that rail away from Tox. Tox fighting for it. Wow. Wow, 2 quick rails from Toxic takes him down over by the heavy.
Just when you think the rail is not enough, that's going to be Toxic using it very effectively to now put Cooler 1 frag away from going into a tiebreaker. All right, so Toxic bringing out his Golden Eye just a little bit with the rails, but also securing a position on the heavy armor. Just daring Cooler to show up at the bridge, but just barely ducking out of sight. They're chasing each other and they don't even know it.
Yeah, Toxic missing that rail, or that rocket zooming by Toxic rather, as makes his way towards the bridge. Mega will be up in 4, armor super delayed. Toxic trying to figure out where Cooler is and rain down some rocket damage.
But now Toxic thinking, hey, 2.5 minutes, 1 frag. Cooler's done it, maybe I can do it too. Being very careful and quiet on the bridge. Cooler throwing out a little bit of spam, but that's actually revealing Cooler's own position as he's trying to hunt down Toxic and figure out where he's at.
Yeah, Toxic doing a great job here of just rounding this corner, saying, hey, it sounds like you're going to come up the stairs. And there's the totem, and then there's a rocket. And Toxic will escape after getting some damage up, but still very weak. Needs to be careful here as Cooler's on the hunt.
Yeah, not the cleanest execution there from Toxic, but it's kept him alive. But Cooler's definitely going to be barreling down on him a little bit more aggressively as we've got the heavy armor back up. I mean, part of this play involves giving up some of the items to your opponent, which so far has been no problem for Toxic. But here it could be dangerous if they get into an all-on-out brawl.
Toxic trying to get in some rail damage here at this heavy. He will get 1, but he will eat 1 in return and needs to be careful not to take any more damage here as he will escape. 1:40 left in the round, and it does look like Toxic is just going to try and play as defensive as possible and maybe steal this away.
And he's kind of baiting a fight here, like drop down, yeah, getting close, use your dual wield. Still staying defensive and dangerous with these rails, but now he's railable himself, gonna need that 25 just to stay alive, making his way back over towards heavy, but trying to make a play for it would be nothing but dangerous.
Cooler comes to that portal late. Oh, misses the rail opportunity there. Eats a lot of nail damage. Toxic needs to be super careful. Down to 26, he will use the totem and grab the 25. And Cooler knows that he needs to get this frag. 1 minute left. Pressure is on.
He has to feel that noose tightening every single exchange. Every time Cooler finds him, Toxic runs away with it with less and less health, less and less resources, and less of a chance to take this round. But he needs this frag, he needs this round, and that rail could save him for another few seconds.
With those defensive rails, Toxic can keep playing this way, and Cooler has just got to be more and more livid here as he's going to grab the items. Has a fat stack, but only 40 seconds left to try and tie this up.
Needed that shot, and dangerously, that reveals his position, reveals his direction. He's able to escape back out to bridge, risking a rail of his own. But down here at the small armor, it's pretty much the most obvious and dangerous place to get caught. And here, I mean, this is where Cooler died last round.
Oh,
but here comes a linear chase.
Oh, my goodness. That could have been terrible as the rocket jump comes up. Toxic still sitting at that 100. 10 seconds left, and it looks like Toxic might actually be able to steal this as Cooler. Rocket jumping around, saying, please just show yourself.
He
And
made
this
the
jump
read.
could be
He made the guess.
Oh, he actually cuts himself off and goes through the gap. And Toxic steals that one away at 3-2. I think he played defensive for about 2.5 minutes solid there.
He had him there in the corner, in the stairwell, but he just couldn't read exactly which direction Toxic was going in and never actually had full sight of his body. So that is going to be Toxic, amazingly enough, by the skin of his teeth, pushing us into a tie-breaking map.
That was fantastic. Yeah, Cooler with that rocket it was like a half check. It was like, yeah, I'll spam here, and then he was like, I'm actually going to jump over this way. And by the time he got the information of, oh my God, that hit, it was too late, and Cooler was moving back up the stairs to get out.
I mean, we're looking at the stats now, and yeah, there are some neat numbers there. I mean, 43% LG for Toxic, 51% Rail, 56% Rail for Cooler. But really, the story of this game was all about just positioning, getting out of the way, throwing down totems against Cooler, and most importantly, getting those surprise dire orbs.
Yeah, setting those traps, the dire orbs, the totems. Tox did a great job near the end there of just hitting those rails, getting that extra damage. I think he actually had like 900 more damage in that map. Just playing really defensive and solid, and Cooler has got to be a little frustrated going into map number 3.
Yeah, I'm sure he had thought he had sunk Toxic's battleship, but he's still in it as we get into it, and it's going to be Ruins of Sarnath. It's going to be rails galore as we get in here.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see the champ picks here. Again, Slash is gone, unfortunately, for Tox, and Visor banned for Cooler.
I'm just terrified now. I thought this was going to be close, but I didn't think it was going to be this kind of close. I thought it was going to be 2 close maps.
Yeah.
And then getting into a tiebreaker, not Cooler being so dominant for 1.5 maps entirely, and then somebody flipping on Toxic Switch.
Yeah, unfortunate for Cooler. Again, I wonder if he's just going to have that mental reset and be able to try and close this map out. We see the Death Knight Ranger from Cooler, Ranger for Toxic. I'm interested to see if we're going to see another Doomslayer from Toxic.
On Ruins, the utility of a Doomslayer is mostly, more tactical than strategic. You get some better angles on some of the shots. You're able to enter in some of the rooms. So without really the ability to use it to get items and weapons a little bit faster, maybe not so worth it.
I just want to see someone get punched in the face. But we see BJ on both sides. Yes, of course, in the game. But we see both players locking in those BJs here as we go into Ruins of Sarnath, map number 3 in the series. Loser goes home. That's pretty incredible.
I mean, you don't have to just come out and tell me that.
I do. I want to break your heart. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here as we go into map number 3. Winner's going to double their money here. Tox versus Cooler. And I don't know. My prediction stands true, I think. I believe in Cooler, but Tox has shown that he's still got some fight left in him.
Well, hopefully Cooler's third eye hasn't been blinded just yet, as we're going to get into this first round, and let's see what these first spawns are. Toxic getting... okay, maybe one of the more ambiguous spawns on the map. Cooler actually having a bit of an easier job of it. Toxic has to realize that, he has to make a choice between Mega and Heavy, largely reliant on which way Cooler goes. And so far, the read is fine. It just cost him 1 rail.
Toxic waiting. Here's the exit of the teleporter. We'll grab LG. Does want a rail, but he's going to wait for it here as Cooler knows that he wants the rail, and he's like, go ahead, go ahead. Toxic is asking, I wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend, as he wants to try and get in on this rail. And Cooler will drop down with the Flame Strike, 12 HP right out of the gate for Toxic, and he has to escape.
Yeah, it's very apparent here that early off in the round, Toxic just cannot afford to just be a wallflower. He's got to make something happen.
Wow.
But Cooler comes right back in with the LG and gets that first frag, setting the tone, if not the result.
So good job there from Cooler. Push and get that first frag. Toxic getting in on that Mega, but can't find the rockets, and now he's trying to find Cooler to put out some damage here.
But he doesn't have a railgun, and so far in this matchup, I mean, Cooler's turned into a bit of a Jimmy Eat rail, but he's fully loaded as far as rails go. He needs a little bit more LG, needs a few more rockets, but he's going to have plenty of time to get that as Toxic is still on the hunt.
Look at that stack on that Death Knight here. The fight for Heavy begins. Cooler will eat a rail, but it's totally worth it here. He grabs the Heavy after the fact. Still has a brilliant stack. Toxic, not so much. He will grab the 50 and it will instantly be deleted here. Now he needs to escape however he can.
It's always stressful when you get railed twice at that position because there's not really a quick way to recover. I mean, you can drop down for the 225s, but those are dangerous. He's going to be able to head back down towards Heavy. but I fear and believe that Cooler's going to be showing up there fairly soon as well. And look at this, he's fully stacked up.
Yeah, Tox completely needs to give this up here as Cooler has a dominating position. We'll grab that heavy. And Tox needs to try and get whatever he can going here. A rail would help if he can start landing some of those shots from long distance.
But he's still staying quiet, but he's acting as if he's the one frag in the lead. Unfortunately, that's going to be Cooler's advantage at the moment. Still actually checking all of these corners. Look at this. He's so paranoid, doesn't trust Toxic one bit. Starting to feel a little bit like what other people play, or other people feel when they play Cooler.
Look at this. He's just giving up all these items. How many cycles is that now?
Hopefully this doesn't turn into another corrupted keep for Toxic. He's got to start being a little bit assertive here.
Almost spotting him out here. Cooler raining in some Tri-Bolt into that T connection. Just gonna grab it.
That's actually better for Toxic here. Yeah, it tells Toxic exactly what Cooler's, what he's doing, where he's headed. And even though Cooler's gonna be fully stacked up, Toxic's given a little bit more freedom to move around without getting caught. He might even be looking for an opportunity to go for that close range Dire Orb, something I'm sure Cooler's aware of and maybe even a little bit sketched out by.
Cooler's starting to look around like, are you still here? Did you lag out? 2 minutes left in the round.
Yeah, they haven't even really seen each other over the last minute.
It's been so long. You don't call, you don't write. Where have you gone?
Well, he's going to be
Just
right
like
there
that.
on the Mega with the Dire Orb. That's going to tell Cooler, of course, the Dire Orb has been used. It's not going to be able to trap him, but he's still showing a lot of respect to his rails and rockets here, as Toxic is looking to push back out of the Tri-Bolt room, or doubling back, or tripling back even.
Yeah, might get caught out here. I like what Toxic did there, just kind of playing the waiting game, and he's like, all right, I know you're not here. Cooler's taking a little bit of extra time to check things, and he actually gets in onto the Mega. We'll lose out on the Heavy, but that's a decent start for Toxic, but he still needs to get some damage out on Cooler here.
I mean, this is a risky strat from Tox. Just, all right, I want to push the clock enough that I just need to make the one frag.
Yep.
And then probably another in overtime, but it's very risky. If he can delete the Death Knight, neat. But he's still got a Ranger and a BJ to worry about, and honestly, he's got to be worried about this round in total. Toxic still only 100-100, looking to catch Cooler on the exit from Heavy and doesn't quite get the rail in.
Yeah, and the time is just ticking here. Toxic needs to make a move. Of course, he knows the Flame Stripe is up. He does not want to be burning, but time's burning here. There's 40 seconds left, and Cooler will grab yet another Heavy.
It's going to be
Mega
a little bit
is
of
what that's
information. The
called.
first hit beep we've heard in a little while, as Cooler gets just a tiny bit of info from Toxic with the Tri-Bolt. But here comes the play on the LG. And it's going to be rails raining down from above, but it's the rails from below that Toxic has to worry about as that frag goes in, and his hopes for round one go down the drain.
They're gone. They're gone. 14 seconds, and look, Cooler's just fine right here. And even with the Flame Strike out, look at that.
Yeah. I mean,
I can stand my ground. This is fine.
you have to try.
You have to.
Yeah.
You miss every shot you don't take. Every Flame Strike that you don't take.
All right, it's going to be coming into round two here. And again, that was, I feel bad for the replay guys. Like, how many fights do I have to clip in this round? Not very many.
Like, here's Cooler getting this item and this item.
All right, but as we get started, Cooler gets a similar spawn. A little bit more ambiguous, and he's going to be looking and listening to find out which way Toxic is going. There's the LG and rail picked up, as well as the Heavy. Cooler can get in on this Mega, but he's actually creeping towards it, hoping that Toxic won't be showing up there quite in time.
Cooler grabbing those rockets, now going down towards the Heavy. Tox has LG. Lightning will finally get in on rockets himself. As Cooler waiting very early for this Heavy. Does not have Lightning or rails. Playing very silently here, trying to wait out for this Flame Strike attack.
Yeah, no trust given to either of these guys at the very beginning of the next round. As we've got Heavy coming back up. A little bit of delay put on it, but that's actually going to potentially get them back more in sync. And of course here, you can hear Mega taken from down here, and you can hear Heavy taken from up above. So if you've got the items in sync, it's not really going to be much of a secret.
Cooler says bye-bye-bye to the Heavy room here as he grabs it finally. And missed rail from Toxic there. That would have been a great shot as he flies up the jump pad here. Cooler again with another miss from Tox. Cooler is getting lucky here. Those are two pot shots that he missed for free. And Cooler saying, where are these coming from? Get away from me.
I appreciate that Toxic is looking for these backstreet rails, but at some point he's got to come back out with his VJ and get ready for the rough and tumble fight. But again, Cooler getting away with the Mega, dropping down for the Heavy. This is just a simple bog standard cycle for him.
Yeah, and you got to be worried about Tox missing some of these rails here. Cooler's not even looking. Flame Strike comes out. The Lightning is good, and he will convert that into a frag as BJ goes down.
And 98 degrees on that Flame Strike. It's going to be hot stuff against Toxic, as the spawn doesn't really favor Toxic either. He's going to have a tough time defending, dropping Cooler down to 68 health, but it's going to be recovered very quickly.
Cooler again catching out his opponent off the spawn. He's so good at doing so, and he will rocket jump up and grab the Mega and the Heavy, and again, locking down these cycles here. The LG's good as he drops down, but the Rocket will keep him at bay for now. Cooler needs to be a little bit worried here. Stacks are about even. The Rocket is brilliant for Cooler, but the Toxic with the rail, and it's even more brilliant here. As Cooler goes down and gets caught out, this could be good.
Oh no!
Wow. And the deadly slipgate immediately. What a spawn.
You start
There's
thinking
the fist pump.
he spawns, and, well, at least it's only a Ranger. It's not a BJ or a Death Knight, but then you forget about that orb, and you're quickly reminded.
Yeah. It's called the deadly slipgate for a reason. Okay.
Oh, I get it now.
Cooler goes up 2-0 early, and this is the last map. This could be the last round, and Cooler could advance. Toxic needs to pull off some magic here. So Cooler takes position on this ledge above rail. Both players waiting on the items here. Cooler more so than Tox. Mega will be delayed quite a lot here. As Cooler just taking his time.
And sometimes that can be risky, but so far in this map, anytime there's a bit of a timing difference between the two items, Cooler's been able to take complete dominance, and Toxic doesn't really show up. So Cooler's going to be just lurking down here by the Heavy, knowing that it's going to be the next item up, even though he's here incredibly early. But Toxic, he's not getting fooled by the corner play. He's looking for the damage, but he's eating every single rocket so far. He has to get out of there.
That initial rocket from Cooler was fantastic, getting full damage. Will rocket jump up and could catch out Toxic here, as Toxic needs to be extremely careful. Missing out on that Mega. Doesn't have a lot of resources to work with. He does have 225s, but he could get caught out. Opts to go around instead. Cooler on the hunt.
And Cooler cutting him off from the LG, forcing Toxic back through the teleporter, which means that dropping down towards his Heavy is going to be dangerous, but there's the totem to keep him alive a little bit longer. But again, Cooler's rocket's so dangerous, but with 10 seconds left to Mega, can Toxic... the answer's no, by the way. He can't afford to show up. He's got to go look for those 25s.
I honestly have no idea how he survived when he dropped down.
Yeah.
That was absolutely insane, and he's going to get bullied off this Mega as well, and Toxic needs to stack back up off whatever he can. Tries to get that pot shot rail in, but it's not going to be worth it. He's going to grab the 50 armor out in the courtyard here, but he could get caught out, and this is super dangerous right now for Toxic.
And Cooler's going on the hunt, going on the prowl. Toxic now running away out of the nail gun, but eating a ton of LG on his way down, and the lower rail's never someplace you want to be. There's the first frag going to Cooler this round, and as we've seen before, that is incredibly dangerous for anybody facing him.
And Cooler one frag closer to closing this out and advancing here, as he again will get in on this Mega, has complete control, and Flame Strike could catch him out. Dire Orb's already out, and now this is where Cooler can push. The rail's good from Tox, the follow-up not so much. And Cooler will lay off the gas a little bit here. Will drop down. The LG tickle is fantastic, and he's going to push through this. And again, he's going to catch out Tox over here, and the LG's fantastic. One frag away from taking this series.
Yeah, just like in Blood Covenant, the more Toxic runs, the tighter Cooler just draws that noose up on him. And so now Cooler off the spawn is going to be looking for a little bit of info. A quick pit stop for some items to refuel, looking for this next fight, which could indeed, like you said, be the last fight.
And the item control is absolutely absurd. 16 heavies to 2. As the LGs come out, Toxic trying to fight back with whatever he can. The Flame Strike is still available for Cooler here out in the courtyard. Rails exchanged but missed. 16 heavies to 2 for Toxic. 14 megas to 4 for Toxic. And Cooler just dominating the map, cycling well, and one frag away from taking it all.
Toxic thinking it's not worth going for that heavy, but there's the LG. Boom goes the dynamite, and Cooler moves forward.
That's crazy. I didn't expect that map to go like that at all. Cooler absolutely dominating fashion, 3-0. Tox, I think, relied too much on that rail there. Had the rail out over at the drive-by, was missing shots, only hitting 37%. That's not really what you see.
Not from Toxic.
Yeah. And, I mean, congrats to Cooler. He played great. A little shaky on Blood Covenant, but Toxic did a good job of just kind of playing the hide-and-seek game there, and that's kind of, he stole away that map, to be honest. So Cooler with a dominating performance on this, and he will advance, and we will say ta-ta to Tox.
And hello to Zoot.
Hey. That was
what
a
was
surprise.
that like to watch? Yeah.
Ruins was a big, big surprise for me, but it looked like there was just some level of determination for Cooler. There were some moments in Blood Covenant that looked like he was about to clinch it and take it into a 2-0 fashion, but it was all fight between the two of them. However, Ruins, what a showcase by the Russian.
I really was hoping that after Blood Covenant that we were going to see Toxic totally come back into his own and show us the Toxic that we all know and love. And Cooler showed us the Cooler that we all know. maybe love. Maybe.
There was just some really, really clutch plays. I remember there was a rail on Blood Covenant that we saw some looks of anguish on Cooler's face, and like that, if he hit that rail, that was the moment he could have locked it out then.
Yeah.
He knew how much it cost him. And that's the moment that Tox started to make a comeback. I think it was something like 2-1 at that stage. Came all the way back, had that super sick play with the orb up to the lightning gun staircase, and he faked the rocket jump and then went through, and that BJ just didn't know what hit him.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal play there. But on Ruins, I just can't get over the fact that Tox was missing these opening rails where Cooler wasn't even looking in the right direction, and those were so important.
Yeah, you'd never expect Tox to do something like that.
Yeah, well, it's hard to hit someone that doesn't look at you. That's the rule in video games, right?
It's like a curse or something.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
It even happens to Tox. That
Yeah.
says something.
We saw a lot of that in Corrupted Keep as well, and really the story of Corrupted Keep was a little bit more one-sided, where Cooler was just dominating the item game, and we even saw moments where Toxic really just had no clue where the items were. Like, when's this coming up? And what's the cycle?
There was moments at the beginning I thought, actually, Cooler looks really bad on Corrupted Keep, but he kind of kept it together towards the end. He made a really nice comeback. I was incredibly impressed by Cooler because it looked like Tox was going to continue from that match he had versus Razy, where he didn't even drop a champion during the last map for Blood Covenant.
Yeah, I'm still impressed by how Cooler just Pac-Mans the cycles of items and just absolutely chokes out Tox, not leaving him with anything. And while doing so, also doing enough damage to leave Tox just having to hide in a corner and just feed off 25s and 50s.
And even Blood Covenant was incredibly close towards the end, where Toxic was just running that entire game back in the last round, and you could still see that Cooler was getting closer and closer. There was the totems to recover on, but then he didn't have the totem, didn't have armor, didn't have a mega to rely on. If it was another maybe 10 seconds, it would have gone Cooler's way, but Toxic just barely squeaked it out.
This rail here, if Cooler hit it, he ties up the game, and he's possibly able to get control of the heavy that's about to spawn. And I think that's the moment where Cooler's like, oh my god. It could have been a 3-0 on map 2.
I didn't even see that suicide as a final
this
statement.
play, though, was absolutely phenomenal. Cooler was like, wait, what?
He saw the orb. It's not like you don't see the orb, but you just don't think he's going to come through
He heard the rocket jump, so it's like, oh, so he's trying to use misdirection here, and then he's going to attack through the rocket jump, but the misdirection was even more misdirecting.
There's a word for that, Fordia. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, I don't really know either. I'm going to have to look that up in some sort of dictionary of words.
One of these days.
One of these days.
But man, then that ruins the Sarnath. I mean, 3-0 from Cooler.
Yeah, just dominating performance again. Tox missing those rails. I really think that's kind of what did it. And then that spiraled out of control item control